I got to go all up and down Israel, and, different experiences from the Bedouin tents where they cook, Bedouin style, like nomads in the desert, basically. And then I went all the way into the cities, where it's a lot like here. And it's like going into like New York City or anything like that.
Hey there, foodie fans. It's another Travel Tuesday. Thank you for joining us tonight. I am so proud that we have Aaron Ludin here. He is owner of Orlando Real Producers. He is an amazing world traveler with tons of experience for such a young age. And I look forward to hearing about all of his foodie adventures. And without further ado, let's bring him on.
What's up, everybody?
Aaron.
How you guys doing?
Fantastic. How about yourself?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on here.
We really appreciate you coming. I know your schedule is super busy.
It is a little crazy, but every once in a while you got to make time for something, especially during a pandemic, right?
Definitely. And it's fun. We like to have fun on this show.
Absolutely.
So, Carla is going to grab something off the shelf for me over there because I neglected to prep quite as heavily as I normally do. But anyway, the funny part, though, is I always forget to turn my phone off. And so, inevitably, I get notifications during the show, and it makes noise. This time, I remembered to do that, but I forgot to get something else. Anyway.
It's all good.
We were looking at some of your information, and we saw that you actually went to school. Did you go to school in San Francisco, or did you attend online at San Francisco University?
I went to Rollins College my freshman year, and then I finished at University of South Florida and got my bachelor's in marketing, as well as I got a master's certification in sales and sales management online from the University of San Francisco. So I actually went to two different USFs. I got one over there and one over there, one behind me. So yeah, two USFs and whoops, no, I can't get it situated. But two different USFs, and I have a bachelor's in marketing and a master's certification in sales management.
That's wild. And was that a plan, or did it just so happen that you went to two different USFs?
That totally, honestly, I realized it after I was done. It totally happened by accident. It's just where they had a sales program, and I knew I wanted to take a program on selling and sales management, and it sounded appealing to me. And so that's what happened.
Nice. So have you ever even been to San Francisco?
No, never been to San Francisco.
All right. Well, Carla's quirky commentary is going to be interesting then. It's all about San Francisco.
That's interesting. Well,
one of the few places you haven't been, right?
Haven't been yet. Nope.
Well,
but I do have a really good friend that's just outside of San Francisco that we recruited to run Silicon Valley Real Producers, and he runs Silicon Valley Real Producers as well as whatever borders the valley. I'm not sure how they define it or what they call it.
Okay. So you said you went to Rollins to start. That's right here in Orlando.
It is.
So does that mean Orlando's hometown?
Yeah, I went to Winter Park High School. I went to Mainland Middle School. We moved here when I was 12, and we moved from Philadelphia. That's hence the Eagles fan. You can see. Whoops, there we go. But basically, went to middle school and high school here. Grew up here. Went to Rollins my freshman year, and then transferred over to USF and finished out at USF, and then basically moved back here to try to move back home. Ended up buying this house when I was about 21 or so, 21, 22, and moved back expecting to finish out at UCF and didn't get all my transcripts in. And so it just stayed pending for a while. So I ended up taking my classes at USF Polytechnic and just driving back and forth for the last year. So I'm a USF graduate, but I've been living here for a while.
That's very cool, man. So what would you say is your favorite eat right here in Orlando then? Where's the place to go?
Man, that's a
There
great
one?
question. I got a couple places. One of my favorites, I gotta give a shout out to my friend Chef Isabella Macari. Chef Isabella owns the Meatball Stop. It's a phenomenal place
I've
off
been
of
there.
like
My
Underhill
daughter
area.
actually worked there.
Yeah, I know Guy Fieri was on there. Did had him on their show. That's a really good spot. I really like Domu and Domu Chibi. They're both phenomenal spots. They're really well done. I really like some of the pop ups in town. Shout out to the Ceylon Hut guys. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I know that guy's like at random pop ups all over. I know that I don't think they're in town anymore, but the Bang Rack, the Thai food that does pop ups, and there's another place called Papa Llama that's really good. And they basically do pop ups. You got to follow them, and they pop up around town in different breweries, different stops, and they make phenomenal food. All of them. It's kind of like the hot new trend in Central Florida that I've been taking advantage of.
You're gonna have to share some of those pages with us so that we can follow them as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what if you had to pick a date location, what would it be?
If I had to pick a date location, it's a great, great question. Depends if it's a first date or not.
Yes, definitely. First date.
I don't know about first date actually, but let me give you a good date spot because it's what you really want.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go. What part of town? Give me a part of town.
Let's go East Orlando.
East Orlando. Ooh, that's a harder one. I was going to say like Pharmacy is a really good spot on the
No,
south
that's
side.
not East.
Yeah,
That's
no,
not
no. I was going. That's why I was saying I was going to say my friend. I got to give a shout out to my friend Ahmed who runs Makani off of I Drive. That's a phenomenal spot. If you tell them that you're
What's
coming ahead of
Makani?
time, Makani's Egyptian food. It's right across from the Star Flyer. And if you tell them you're coming ahead of time, and you tell them, especially if you tell them that I sent you, they will definitely take really good care of you, like phenomenal care of you. They'll make you look like a king. So if you're going for date night, that's a really good spot. But on the east side of town, um, on the east side of town, man, that's such a good question. I really like Domochibi, but that's not really a date night spot. I mean, Meatball Stop is on the east side of town, but I know another really good spot is Creole. My friend owns Creole, which is a phenomenal restaurant. I'm not sure that it's like quote unquote a date night spot though. That's a hard question, man. On the east side of town, maybe Oviedo.
I assume Creole would be Cajun.
No, Krey. It's Haitian food.
Haitian. Okay, where is that? I don't recognize that name.
It is on Colonial once you cross Alafaya.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it's right over there by UCF.
Yeah, by like Cheddar's and stuff like that. I don't know if Cheddar's is still there, but down that direction.
Yeah, it's hard to know what's still around.
Everything keeps changing, man. Everything keeps changing. So, here in Oviedo, the De La Vega is phenomenal. That's a great spot.
Okay. So, I happen to know because we're actually customers of yours that you sell Cutco knives, and that brings me to my next question. Are you actually a cook? Do you like cooking?
I mean, I definitely like cooking, and I've been grilling a lot more lately. In fact, I just got the grill heated up a second ago because I'm going to grill some stuff. But honestly, I wouldn't really say that I'm a cook, but I definitely have been around cooking for many, many years, and I'm much more versed in it than you would expect. I'm just not really big on cleaning. So, I've sold knives since I was 17 years old. I'm 31 years old now. So I got into selling Cutco knives when I was 17 years old. I was a senior in high school, and my senior year of high school, I sold enough to really make decent income, and basically sold all through college and ever since, and built my branding business based off of originally selling engraved Cutco closing gifts to real estate agents. So in fact, that right there, that trophy next to the football is a Hall of Fame trophy from Cutco. So I've sold a little under $2 million worth of Cutco myself, but my team and my recruits have probably sold about 2.5. So I've just been around it, for a really long time, around people that cook. My clients are people that cook. I obviously know how each and every knife is used, how to, all the knife skills, each and every type of knife, what to cook with it, what not to cook with it, how to use the cookware, because they also sell cookware, flatware, you name it. So you had asked about knife skills, and that's what I found funny is, I spent many years and also ran a Cutco office when I was 19. So we taught people knife skills and knife safety and which knife to use for which things. And we would have them bring all sorts of vegetables and fruits and whatnot, and we chop them all up and do, fun stuff with them. And anyway, so that's definitely right up my alley.
So what did you start out with? What led you into cooking? As far as, did you have one particular type of cuisine that you focused on?
Well, I grew up in a Jewish household, so like my family's always done, especially for holidays and whatnot. They've really like handmade all the different foods, mostly traditional foods, for different holidays. But my family's always cooked, and my mom's always made it a point to cook. In fact, there is a article I still remember that my brother was featured in when he's like 7 or 8 years old in the local newspaper of the food he had cooked, and he's on the kitchen island, and it's talking about how there's like a local kid cooking food, and it was just something that was ingrained in us at a really young age and taught how to do it. It was always it was kind of news to me that people were raised not cooking. Like it was just something that I was around. I didn't even know. In fact, not only that, but when I first went to training at Cutco, they were like, do you know when you try to cut this and this happens? You know when you try to slice a bagel and you smush it? You know when you try to cut a tomato and you know what? And I was like, I've never had any of these problems before. Like maybe I just couldn't understand it at all. And I've been around the kitchen. Well, little did I know that every knife in my house was Cutco. My mom had sold Cutco when she was 18, and we only had high quality stuff my entire life. So I didn't even know that people were like struggling to cut a lime, struggling to cut, things that I didn't deal with until we went into like a rental property when I was a young adult and had already sold for many years and had won multiple trips, from selling knives, which is where most of my traveling really came from originally. I would, experience trying to cut stuff and realize that like, holy crap, most of the world's knives are terrible. And going into homes, all through high school, my senior year of high school through 5 years of college. And then I've sold ever since. I did hundreds of appointments a year, and I was cutting stuff with people's knives versus our knives. So I've seen every brand out there that you could imagine. You could send me into any kitchen right now, and I'd know, just like a real estate agent would know what the house is made of and how it's built and the construction and all that. I would know the set of knives, whether or not they're good, how they'd stack up against ours. Like I would know all of that stuff just by seeing it at first glance. And we could stack them up against ours any day of the week and pretty much, stand out. So I just kind of learned to be around people that really value cooking. And so that's always been just a part of my life. And I never really understood that it wasn't part of so many people's lives until I became a young professional and started to get busy enough that I didn't do the cooking. And then I realized like, this is how some people's parents were, and they were raised like that where would they learn?
Yeah. When you get too busy, we had a guest last week, and that's what he complained about. He said, we're too busy. All we can do is create this production line and just put everything together on Sunday that we can take with us and play around with later in the week. And that, unfortunately, is way too common.
Sure.
But I grew up the same way you did, in a house where we ate at home every night, and there was fresh food and cooking all the time, and family recipes passed down. So I learned a lot of that. And of course, just like you, I do a lot of grilling too. And I learned that from my dad. But I'm curious, is there something
well, now I'm seeing the comments that the Meatball Stop is a great date night place.
I saw that.
Awesome. I didn't mean to imply that it wasn't either. I just was trying to think of something that I didn't already say. And
Well, I'm going to
that's too funny
date
though.
night comment. Okay, being married, date night means any night I don't have to do dishes.
Understood. And then
That is a date night.
Rengetsu, is it called? Rengetsu, something on that side of town that's really good too. I think it's called Rengetsu. You just made me think of it. But yeah, I totally understand that. I totally get that. Another good spot is Victorio's in Oviedo. It's just, phenomenal food.
That's another one I haven't heard of. We're definitely going to have to get a couple of these put on the website. So what is there anything that you've actually failed at with food? have you struggled with anything? Is there something you can't quite figure out how to make?
With food, I mean, I've never been great at baking because I'm not great at following directions. So let's say that.
High
I'm not the
five.
best direction follower. You can't screw a direction up in baking. You screw one up, the whole thing gets screwed up. So I tend to avoid baking as a whole.
Yep, I'm right there with you. All
Yeah.
you need to do is marry a baker, and you're good to go. Carla's
Exactly.
whispering my ear.
Or just cut them out. You know, cut them out of your. Go on a diet, you're good. You won't even.
Oh, that too. Yeah. That actually gets you a little larger too. So, marrying a baker. But is there an area of food that you're actually curious about that you want to learn more about and work on?
That's a really interesting question. Is there an area of food I want to learn more about? No, I mean, not really, to be honest. There's not any area that I'm looking to learn about. Maybe to learn a new culture or a new, new culture would be cool. Like just in general, different ethnic foods, different things I haven't tried would be great.
Okay. So
I've been grilling a lot lately, so I'm having some fun with that.
Now, when you say you're grilling, what are you using? Charcoal, gas, pellets?
I'm using gas. Yeah, nothing too crazy, but I do have a lot of friends that are posting all these pictures of their Traegers, and they're making me want to buy one. So
I've got a Pit Boss, which is a rival, and it's phenomenal. Love it. I just found a new. There's a barbecue place in Ivanhoe, Gentry's. This guy is an award-winning barbecue guy, and he opened up this little shop, and I went over and saw him the other day, and he shared some new pellets with me, and it makes the difference in the world. You know, some pellets are better than others.
Yeah, same with the knives. In fact, I gotta at least throw out a plug. Can I plug a link?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's really easy. It's www.yourloyalknifeguy.com. Yourloyalknifeguy.com if you need any knives, cookware,
and this is
flatware, anything. Or you just want yourself sharpened. You can go on there, hit the button. I'll send my team out to sharpen your knives. If you've got Cutco, they sharpen for free forever. They'll come to your house. They'll sharpen it for free. I've got a team of people that'll come out and take care of you. And they're not going to sit you through a demo, or they're not college kids. Well, in most cases, they're not going to beg you to buy something though. And if you need someone to come take care of you, then let us know.
That's nice. I didn't even know that when I bought mine. But this is the perfect time for me to make an announcement. We're actually starting a separate group that is tied. It's a Facebook group tied to the Facebook page. This group will be exclusive access, and anyone who has appeared on our show, some of the places that they have mentioned in the different locations will be there. Some recipes if they're comfortable sharing it, and of course their websites so that you can go and visit them and patron their businesses. So that'll be launching by next Tuesday. So my next question for you is how is it that when you did all of this traveling, I assume that you didn't eat at home, you're traveling. You went out and experienced the local food, the local cuisine. How did you find the places that you chose?
Well, to be fair, it really depends on where I was traveling to. A lot of my international travel, especially at a young age, has come from selling Cutco knives. It's been payout trips. It's been prizes. It's been, they sent me to Prague. They sent me to Jamaica 3 different times. They sent me twice to the Dominican Republic. They've sent me to I could go on and on and on and on and on. They've sent me to Mexico multiple times, more times than I want to imagine. They've sent me all over the Caribbean. They've sent me to all these different cool places. And so in a lot of those cases, when they were within this hemisphere, let's say, then a lot of them were all inclusive. A lot of them, they had all these spots, right there. And the whole idea was to keep it simple, have it all be there. But I would usually venture out. So in the Dominican Republic, we went on a ride. We jumped on some bikes. We rented some bikes from people and went on a ride out into the town. And I remember this random lady cooked us a fish in this small little hut, and it was amazing. Same type of thing happened in Jamaica. Prague, the food was amazing. It was a little bit different, being in Europe. When we went to London, I went to London on my own to go to the Eagles game, actually, just a few years back, and we had amazing food there. So I don't know. I've just had really great food all over the world, and so I couldn't say that one place particularly stood out though. But Israel had amazing, phenomenal food.
Now, where did you go in Israel?
I went all over Israel. I went on Birthright when I was younger. It was just like basically a trip that's covered for Jewish young adults, and I got to go all up and down Israel. And, different experiences from the Bedouin tents where they cook, Bedouin style, like nomads in the desert, basically. And then I went all the way into the cities, where it's a lot like here, and it's like going into like New York City or anything like that. I also spent time on my senior year of high school in Amsterdam. Our soccer team went out there and did a lot of training, and we played a tournament out there. And so I was in Volendam and Maastricht and Amsterdam. And so we tried all sorts of amazing food out there. Maastricht had great food. They had, I just remember they had like shawarmas and all sorts of other amazing things there that were just uniquely done,
I actually had the good fortune of going to Israel myself when I was in the Navy. I went to Haifa, Israel, and I loved it. It was one of my favorite places. Actually,
it's one of the most beautiful places.
Yeah, there's this beautiful marina.
Yep, on the water.
I had a fillet there at the restaurant overlooking the marina, and it was, to this day, one of the best fillets I've ever had. I've never been a huge fan of filet. It's very tender, but it's not very flavorful for me. I like more of a ribeye or something like that. But this was one of the best I've ever had anywhere. It was good.
I had amazing food in Curacao. I don't know why I randomly thought of that, but Curacao, like a random place that you think of. We had phenomenal food overlooking the water. I want to say it was fish, but and again, I'm usually like, that's not usually my thing, but it's just something that I remember was amazing on both of those trips.
So, has there ever been a destination failure when it came to food? Someplace that you thought, maybe you read that was amazing, and you went there and went, "What is going on? This is not what I expected."
Oh yeah, we definitely had a couple in London, but without going to the store, you go to the wrong spot and you're in the wrong spot. But I'm trying.
UK is trying really hard to change that, but unfortunately, they've kind of got that reputation.
Yeah, I would say that that there's plenty of amazing food there. It's just if you go in the wrong spot, you're in the wrong spot. Some places where it's hard to find a wrong spot, though, especially in the States, like my hometown of Philly, you can't it's really hard to find a spot that's not the right spot. When you're in Philly, when you're in Chicago, it's hard to not find a good spot. When you're in, there's a lot of cities where it's hard to not find good food. I think that Orlando's really getting there.
You said hometown, so you went to Winter Park High. Did you have younger years in
I'm originally from Philly. Yeah. We moved here when I was 12 years old, so when I was in middle school.
All right, I missed that. I actually grew up in South Texas, and in middle school, I moved to Waukegan, Illinois. So kind of similar, except reversed. I started in the South and went north. And yes, it's interesting how the food it's harder to find places in the South, but if you do, it's amazing. But up north, it seems like everywhere you go, there's just good home cooking right around the corner.
Yeah, but the truth is, there's so many apps, there's so many programs you can use, especially when you're traveling domestically. It's a little bit harder internationally. When you're traveling domestically, you pull out your Google Maps, there's so many things, and they all sync together so easily that you can go see all the good reviews. You can go see what's local. You can go see what's close to you. You can go see what's far away. You can go rule out different types of foods, pull them in. So one of the things I really like to do is just spend 30, 45 minutes, sometimes even an hour when I first go anywhere. So in the U.S., and I'm traveling, especially for the weekend, I take a lot of weekend trips. I'll just go on there and I'll start starring stuff. I'll start starring things that I might want to go to. And I'll star up a city. So all these random cities across America, I've got tons of stars. And then as you're traveling around the city or walking around the city, when you notice that something's nearby, you just, you pop in. And maybe it's sites you want to see. Maybe it's food you want to have. But that's just one little kind of tip. And then that way you never miss the really good food because, if you're right around the corner, you might as well pop by.
Definitely. So is there, let me ask you this. If you had an extra $1,000 a month in your budget, what would you do with it?
That's a great question. It's really hard to say. Like if I was, if I was a better question would be if I was going to spend an extra $1,000 a month, because the truth is I'm not sure that we're, as a business owner, I'm not sure that $1,000 a month would change all that much. Especially being someone who is, wise with what I spend and doesn't just frivolously spend. But if I was going to invest or spend an extra $1,000 a month, I'd probably spend it on some type of experiences that I wanted to have. So whether that was travel, for $1,000 a month is a decent amount of travel. So it's 12 grand a year. I don't know. You got me thinking, like, what would I spend it on? I don't know that I'd change much when it comes to, fixed assets. I wouldn't spend it on a house, and I wouldn't spend it on a car, and I might not even spend it on experiences. But I'm not sure that $1,000 a month would change all that much. Maybe I'd spend it on staff. If I was going to invest it, I'd invest it in staffing up my business. And client appreciation is always something that I'm big on. So finding new systems to give back to my clients, give more to my clients, send gifts to the clients, follow up with people, that type of thing, I would say. But I'll be honest with you, I can't honestly say that $1,000 a month would change all that much in my world.
Spoken like a true entrepreneur. Put it all back in your business.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Now, if you said, like, if I was going to spend it on travel, what would I do with it? I'd probably save up and go on one badass trip once a year, or two badass trips once a year. Yeah, or I'd take a whole bunch of people on something domestically.
So I think we addressed this earlier, but I'm going to put you on the spot one more time. If you had to look back at all your travels, all the different places you've been, whether it was through Cutco or any other reason, what is the one place that I would have to go to?
You would have to go to? Have you ever been to Prague?
No,
That's
I have
where
not.
I'd go. I definitely have to send you to Prague. Yeah, or Curacao. Have you been to Curacao?
I'm actually getting ready to head there very shortly.
Curacao is easy. I mean, we went for the day from Aruba, and it was cheap.
Yep.
We flew in, we flew back. But Curacao is one amazing one, especially if you've ever been to Amsterdam or the Netherlands in general. It's a lot like seeing it in the Caribbean, especially because it is Dutch Caribbean. It makes a lot of sense once you see that. But I would say Prague for sure.
Do you have a memory from a restaurant there in Prague or no?
I couldn't speak to it.
It was just the city. It was the experience, right?
Yeah, I have some memories that I probably couldn't share on Facebook, but I remember a particular club there. But it was an amazing time. There was some really good food, and I remember that everything there was just really remarkable, especially to experience such a culture that was so different.
Makes sense.
And I really love Holland. I mean, I spent a lot of time in different parts of it. Not on the outskirts really of Amsterdam. We weren't really in the city as much, but we were out in Volendam and Maastricht in these small towns where there were small soccer club or different soccer programs. So we would go play against them and stay in that town and whatnot. And there's just really phenomenal, remarkable food there, and even some of the differences and stuff that we usually have. I remember I remember the McDonald's having like a McShawarma sandwich or something, or a McLamb sandwich or something like that. And, it's just interesting when you go to different places, how different it really can be.
I remember going to Dubai and thinking the same thing. You go to these places that you think are solely American. It's going to be the exact same thing. No, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's similar, but it's not the same.
Exactly.
So when I say culinary, what comes to mind?
Good food that people took the time to craft and put the extra steps to care about the details, I would say. Like, I think when I think of culinary, I think of details.
I like those words, craft and details, taking time. Makes a lot of sense to me. So would you consider yourself a culinary artist then?
Artist, not at all. But I know how to chop stuff really well.
Probably a lot better than I do. You know, I was looking earlier.
I can definitely tell you exactly which knife to use for every single thing you can think of in the kitchen.
I'm sure you could.
And I can tell you about the brands, and I can tell you how long to expect it, and I can tell you what's keeping it sharp, and what, you know, I can watch how you cut and tell you about whether or not it'll keep your knife sharp, and whether or not it's messing them up, and what type of board you should use, and what type of board you shouldn't, and you know, all of that. I can look at your knives and after you're wearing them down and seeing how you've been cutting, and whether or not it's the proper way. So it can help you with knife skills, but I'm not that good with the other stuff.
I was looking earlier and I saw an interesting fact. Apparently, if you want your onions to stop making you cry as much, make sure you've got a sharp knife, because it's actually the damaging of the cells of the onion that causes you to cry. So if you have a very sharp knife, it cuts right through it and you don't actually have any of that coming out into your face. I thought that was interesting. So at this point, I am going to actually introduce Carla for her quirky commentary. And I'm going to bring her on solo. So please, you'll leave the screen for a minute. What's that?
All right. Let's do it.
You're going to leave the screen for a minute, and then once she's done, I'm going to get you back on here and see if, see what your comments, give you a last word on what she has to say, okay?
Okay.
Sound good?
Yep.
Welcome, Carla.
Hey, foodies. So I'm going to try to stay. You can see the green screen through my glasses. I also cannot see without my glasses, so bear with me. See if I can see my teleprompter and read my quirky comments. So just so you know, when I come up with these quirky foodie comments, I research our guest a little bit, find out where he's been, where he's from, that sort of thing. So I saw that Aaron went to school in San Francisco, but he didn't actually go to San Francisco. But these are fun foodie facts about San Francisco. Have to deal with the glasses. I can't see. So San Francisco is home of over 300 coffee houses, and I've just got the caffeine shake just thinking about it. So the Chinese fortune cookie, that was invented in China, right? Because it's a Chinese fortune cookie. You get them all the Chinese buffets. No, it's actually invented in San Francisco by a Japanese resident. So that's a little trippy. Chicken tetrazzini, green goddess salad dressing, and popsicles were all invented in San Francisco. I like all three. Not necessarily together. Personal choice. San Francisco, the home of the first Italian restaurant in the U.S. Give me a minute. Carbs. Okay, I'm done. And just a little bonus fact about San Francisco. There are more dogs than children in San Francisco. And Sam and I are a big fan of this fact. We love dogs. Me more so than Sam. So those are my fun foodie facts about San Francisco.
Welcome back, Aaron.
I'll have to visit.
You'll have to visit, yeah. Yeah, normally at this point, you have some information to share about your hometown, but that's not hometown. So
I can talk about Philly, if you want. I can talk about Orlando, but can't say much about San Francisco other than it says it on that degree up there.
No, I was going to ask you earlier. You pointed to the award next to the football. To me, that looks like the St. Louis Arch. I can't really tell.
It does from a distance. There's a glass upside down triangle thing in the middle of it. You might not be able to see that well. And otherwise, it does look like the St. Louis Arch.
I've seen you several times, and I was like, man, I wonder what he has to do with St. Louis. But yeah, so once again, Aaron,
that is a Cutco Hall of Fame trophy. Actually.
There you go. I really do appreciate you coming on our show this evening. One more time for our guests, I want you to go ahead and let them know who you are, what your background is, who you work with, because I know it's more than just Cutco. There's something else that you do. You're the owner of Orlando Real Producers, which is actually a very big deal as well to the Central Florida community anyway. Tell us about that real quick, and then we'll head out.
Sure. I'm the owner and publisher of Orlando Real Producers, as well as the owner of Orlando Branding Agency. And so our branding company does branding and promotional products, but we specialize in high-end gifting. So we like to call it strategic appreciation, helping business owners learn how to appreciate their clients through a strategic gifting. But and Orlando Real Producers is a publication and a platform that helps connect the top 500 real estate agents in Central Florida with the top and most referred service providers in town. And we do it through a monthly publication, quarterly events, parties, educational events, things like that, as well as a private community on Facebook. So we're really big about bringing people together within the real estate world and introducing them to some of the best people in Central Florida. And that's what we do.
All right. Once again, Aaron, thank you so much for appearing on our show, and we'll make sure to keep in touch. And once that group is live, we'll get all your information in there so that people can get a hold of you if they are interested. I highly recommend the knives. They have changed our world because we were so frustrated. We thought we bought some good knives in the past, and it's been frustrating. These are very, very different.
Yeah, the people that think they have good knives or thought they bought good knives were always my favorite customers.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Aaron. Have a great night. We appreciate you.
All right. Take care.
If you like what we're doing here, hit subscribe.